Good morning, Steve here in Chicago with the morning grain comments. We have a mixed trade with May beans down 5 cents at 10.20, corn unchanged in the May at 4.69, and May wheat in Chicago up 6 cents at 5.57. U.S. stocks are lower, dollar's a little bit lower, crude's a little bit higher, and gold is now turned a little bit lower. I think that we saw a lot of headline trading last week in a lot of the markets with tariffs being bearish and then rescinding some of the tariffs, at least on Mexico and Canada, being a little friendly going into the market. I think the stock market is concerned about a U.S. recession and what that does to earnings. We also note that we'll be watching to see if we can come up with some type of budget resolution to avoid a government shutdown on Friday. As far as weather is concerned, some of the dry areas of eastern Brazil is going to get rain, and some of the wet areas of central Argentina will see a little bit of dryness. Overall, this is a good forecast for South America. Here in the United States, we continue to see dry conditions in the South Plains, parts of the western Midwest. We could see some snow activity in the northern plains sometime this week. We'll also be watching midweek some very heavy winds, 60, 70 mile an hour winds across parts of the southern plains. You've got Eastern Europe and the Black Sea dry, and most of the conditions in China are favorable for crops, whereas in Australia, I think farmers are kind of watching the weather pretty closely. There was some heavy rains in the extreme eastern part of Australia due to the cyclone, but not necessarily in crop areas. We have a USDA report tomorrow, and for the most part, what we're looking at is not much change in the U.S. Wheat and soybean carryout. Trade looking for wheat carryout to be 797 versus 794, and beans 379 versus 380. Could see a slight reduction in corn at 1516 versus 1540. The South American crops, maybe 1 million tons less in Argentina corn, maybe unchanged in their bean crop. Trade is unchanged in Brazil corn and unchanged in the soybean crop. We do have some private estimates that are higher in Brazil soybeans than what the USDA is looking at, and maybe a little bit lower in some of the Argentina corn and soybean crop estimates. So in general, last week you saw the funds, big sellers in the grain room, sold 117,000 contracts of corn. They sold about 40,000 contracts of soybeans. They added to their short positions in the wheat market, and the index funds were also getting out of some of their grain room long positions, especially in corn. So the grain room is consolidating with concern about demand, and also looking ahead maybe at northern hemisphere crops maybe improving, especially in the United States versus last year. We are seeing a big potential switch at acres, more corn, less beans, and plugging in a trend yield is still a record corn crop.